I'm the Kinky Polyatheist, and today I'm interviewing 4 out of the 8 founding members of the club L.A.I.D. It's a leather club here in Vegas, and I'm looking forward to them sharing what leather is all about with all of you. Stick around. Welcome to the show. Don't forget we're also a podcast now. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and don't forget we have a store now so you can find cool swag like Kink Responsibly. Thanks for being on the show. Can I get you guys to introduce yourselves and the club? Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'm GW, or Sir Drgn. I'm one of the founding members of L.A.I.D, and I've been in leather for 6 years. Been in the community for 6 years, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm Cassandra, or Sassy Cass. I've been in the community for a little over a year, and I am also one of the founding members of L.A.I.D. I'm also in the Las Vegas Boys of Leather as well.
I'm Jim. I've been doing kinky stuff for about 20 years now, mostly in Salt Lake. I live here in Vegas now, and I'm really happy to be a part of L.A.I.D.
That's a sweet patch. I'd like to talk about that when we're done with the intros.
Hi, my name is Shadow. I'm one of the founders of L.A.I.D. I'm one of the founders of the Las Vegas Boys of Leather, and also one of the founders of the Leather Uniform Club of Las Vegas.
Awesome.
And I've been kinky in Vegas here for 23 years.
Wow, we got like a kinky master here. So I see you got a patch there. Can you explain it to me? Like this, I see it says L.A.I.D and what L.A.I.D stands for.
Yeah, L.A.I.D stands for Leather, Accountability, Integrity, and Determination.
Nice. And if I heard correctly, this patch was made by Christina from Amici Leather.
Yes.
This was made by Christina from Amici Leather, who I also had a video with a little while back when she was just describing how to spot quality leather. So I'll link to that in the description.
When the founders first got together, we all had a brainstorming about what we wanted our patch to be, what we wanted the club's name to be. Shadow actually came up with L.A.I.D. And then he said, we need to figure out what it stands for.
So L.A.I.D
I
came
had a
first.
few ideas, but everyone else had to pitch in.
Yeah. L.A.I.D came first. We figured out what it stood for. We definitely decided that we wanted the triskelion as the backdrop, because the triskelion, historically, within the kink and leather community, it was almost like a secret seal. If you found somebody who was wearing a triskelion ring or a pendant or a cufflink, you knew that they were part of our lifestyle. It's a bit more open now in society now, but it's a part of our history, and it's definitely something that we wanted in our back patch.
That's super cool.
And this is the founders patch. The members patch is slightly different. Obviously, it's not going to have the word founder across the middle, but on the leather flag, it's got a heart. And that heart is what's going to be in the middle of the members patch.
Nice.
And if you notice, the entire patch is all leather colors: blue, black, white, and red.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Great work, and also an awesome design. So thanks for sharing that. So if people were looking for you online and want to learn more about the club, where would they go?
That would be laidlv.com. LAIDLV.com.
We also have a Facebook page that is Friends of L.A.I.D on Facebook if you ever wanted to come and join us there as well.
Cool. And I'll put a link to both those in the description so people don't have to type them out themselves. For people who don't know about our world, what is a leather club?
Well, a leather club is a group of people that have come together that are like-minded. With leather, it's not just a clothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's also integrity, honor, commitment. It's basically core values that we all share.
Really? Because I've got a really cool jacket and boots. I can't just show up with it?
Well, there's our people that are, sometimes it's leather to them is more of a costume. Sometimes it's something to play with. For a lot of us, it's a lifestyle.
So what does that lifestyle include?
Well, besides all that playing that the other people like as well. Like I said, it's a lot of honor, charity work that we do.
So how does L.A.I.D plan on giving back to the community? You said you're doing a lot of charity work. What's that look like?
Other clubs that I belong to, each one of them has charities that we do events for and everything else. We make sure teenagers are taken care of. Because kids are always being taken care of by all the other charities, but teenagers get left behind. So we make sure they're taken care of.
That's awesome.
Other groups get involved in other charities throughout town. So, I mean, we do good work. We like to think we're helping out. We do what we can, but we also have a lot of fun.
Nice. So you guys get together and do fun, kinky things, but you're also a little community, and you give back to the community.
Yes, very much give back.
Yes. That's awesome.
It's our number one thing I think that we do.
Right after the fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no one says you can't have fun and raise money for charity at the same time.
Exactly.
If a flogging gets us money to buy toys for the teenagers, we will do that.
Yeah, I'll give them all to you.
Because we are a new club, our first meeting that is public and available on Zoom, one of the things that we're talking about is, okay, we're formed, we're launched. What do we want to do? How are we going to actually go out there and do what our mission statement says, do what our bylaws say, do what we want to do, have fun, raise money for those less fortunate. Charity is a lot more than just money. We have tossed around the idea of going and volunteering at 3 Square, which is a big charity here in town. You get 20 people in leather vests with that patch on our back out there handing out food. These are things that we want to do, things that we've already talked about doing, and things that, honestly, we're going to figure out and do. It's going to happen.
Awesome. Would anybody else like to add anything else about what is a leather club?
It's home. It's a place to call home when you don't have one. Even if you have a main home, it's another home. It's safety. It's someone who's got your back.
So there's almost like a tribe or a family element to it?
Yeah.
Family.
If you like Norm walking into Cheers, everyone knew when Norm walked in because everyone was happy to see him. Whenever you walk into a meeting or you walk in and you see anybody, you know there's family.
It's funny because when I found this leather community here, I was trying to figure out who I was, what I was doing in Vegas. Was Vegas even the place for me to be? And I walked into a munch and I just found all of these lovely people, and a majority of them were from different leather clubs, and they just made you feel welcome and appreciated and safe. And from the bat, they were like, if you ever need anything, you need help moving, you need help figuring out where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to do with your life, give us a call. We will help you find the road in which you're supposed to be on. And it's been that way ever since. My road has turned and veered a little bit, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't give up this family for anything because they've stuck by me through everything.
That's awesome. In the club, when you guys get together, what sort of stuff do you do and why?
We argue. Just kidding.
No, that does happen.
There's some great discussions.
I like to say that we're passionate people.
Okay.
95% of the time, we agree because we are all of like minds. When we don't agree, that passion comes out. But one thing that I found that's different than with any other community, any other type of family, any other space, is an argument doesn't mean we're done. Okay? An argument doesn't mean that we've ruined friendships or anything like that. No. Just like any other time, once the emotions calm down, you get back together, you figure out, okay, so what were we actually arguing about? Where can we compromise? And let's move forward. And that's exactly what happens.
It sounds like a great moment to just practice communication in general.
Oh, yeah.
Which is something we talked about in our last interview.
Uh-huh.
One minute we're going F you, the next one we're hugging it out and walking home. You gotta go to the car.
Yeah.
But see you tomorrow,
It's always an FU with a smile.
An FU is definitely a promise, not a threat.
But we also talk about who needs help, what we can do to help them.
What would help involve? Like helping someone move?
Anything.
Yes.
Helping.
Actually, just recently, one of the other founders needed to move.
2 of us did.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
We moved.
That's right.
So we and another founder, us and another founder ended up having to move all at the same time. And so we split the weekends. And one weekend they helped us move. And the next weekend we helped the other one move.
Huh.
And both people are settled now. But it's not only that. It's, again, helping the teenagers who are in shelters and giving them what they need. Or it's...
This morning, somebody we knew had an accident recently, and their car wasn't necessarily great to drive. I went over there and made it so they can get their stuff done until they can figure out a bigger situation or, come up with the money to actually fix said car.
It definitely sounds like the family element you're describing.
Yeah.
And again, it's like you said, we are planning on helping out 3 Square. We've even picked up sandwiches that were left over at 7-Eleven and then drove around Fremont Street and handing them to the homeless.
Oh, cool.
And it's just anything you can do to help somebody. Leather is anti-selfish. It is the complete opposite of selfish. Anything that we can do to help somebody else out fills us with happiness.
That's awesome.
And we want to give our happiness back out as soon as we get it.
Yeah.
So it's just continuously providing to other people.
More on your question, what do we do when we get together? Yeah, it's a lot of that, which is great. It's also a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? We're kinky folk. We get together and we throw play parties, which is a bunch of people getting together and doing kinky activities.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not specifically kink-related activities, we get together and have board game nights.
Mm-hmm.
Through this pandemic, there was a once-a-week board game night that we all got together and just played board games.
And it was to help the people who were having the anxieties or the depression from being quarantined. We were trying to help those people from getting too far gone. And so we decided that we would have, within our governor's mandate, we would get together for a few hours very safely.
The numbers stayed low.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was only people we felt very safe around.
Even situations as innocuous as playing board games, it still ended up being kinky.
Nice.
Even
Oh,
if just in conversation, it's wonderful.
I've actually got a kinky board game. It's a board game that I made. It's literally a board. It's a game
Nice.
printed on the back, and the whole point is to basically spank each other with it. I think I did a video on that. I'm sure I did a video on that. I'll put a link in the description.
Yeah, let's do it. I'd like to
But
see
yeah,
that one.
board game night. I'm in.
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Another thing we're working on is motorcycle rides.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
We'll be working on that soon.
Do you guys get mistaken for a motorcycle club? And how would you differentiate yourself from a motorcycle club?
A lot of motorcycle clubs are what's considered a 3-patch club. When you first start, you get the lower patch, and then you get the top, and then you get the middle. Where ours, it's just one back patch, that's it. You're going to see a bunch of people wearing leather. A lot of the times, if the zippers are on any of their pants or any of their chaps, if it's on the inside, those are not ones you throw over a motorcycle.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
A lot of the times, the way we act, we're not, just because we're walking in leather doesn't mean we're an unruly bunch. We're just out having some fun.
It doesn't mean we're not an unruly bunch.
We can be.
But usually always with consent.
Yeah, I think the very nature of being a kinky club or having kink in your club, you have to have a lot of communication and integrity. Yes. And it sounds like that's a huge distinction right there.
Within our bylaws, we actually have methods to curb when somebody starts acting outside of our core values. We have a code of conduct, and if one of our members, especially if they're wearing one of our patches, but not necessarily then either, if somebody starts acting a fool, we have ways to go about trying to identify the reason and figure it out to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I mean, ultimately, we're all adults, so we're going to have adult conversations. But also, ultimately, if it's a repetitive habit, they're not going to be able to wear our patch anymore.
You're upholding the integrity of the club.
Absolutely.
Integrity is one of the highest things in leather. Integrity with everything you do, everything you say.
It's on our patch.
So let's say I want to be part of your group. Where would I start? Like, what's the process look like?
You'd start by finding us on Facebook or on our website and reaching out. We even opened up a Discord chat for anybody who wants to communicate with us via the social distancing guidelines and rules right now, where you can chat with anybody who's interested in leather or L.A.I.D in general. I guess the main place would be to start by coming to one of our meetings, and it's always going to be the fourth Monday of every month.
Okay, so if I know nothing about leather or anything kinky, I don't know if I'm interested, I would just show up to one of these meetings? Or should I be
The best
reaching out?
place to start would be reaching out on Facebook, getting to start to talk to people, exploring, and then move on into the meeting if you have, space out the time if you have it. Otherwise,
Sweet.
the point of the meetings is to also facilitate that as well, so it's not necessarily a no. Do it. Be a part of it. Join in. Explore. Learn yourself.
Nice. So people who don't know anything about kink, get in contact with you through Facebook, and see where it goes from there. It's probably going to go, come hang out at a meeting, see what you think. Right?
Yeah, but be talking to them and figure out whether or not this is what they really want to do, or if they're seriously interested. What makes you think that you might be interested? Start talking to them and getting them more to relax. And sometimes it's okay to be at a meeting and just be that fly in the wall. Before I started getting into being in leather, I knew the leather bar, and I would hop on a bus, go down there, and I walked around. I had to see these guys. I didn't even get into the leather bar for quite a few years. I was nervous about it. I knew I was kinky, and I knew I was more leather than I was just bondage and S&M. And it took me until about 3 years later that I made a phone call. I ran into my first master.
If you could imagine yourself as that younger version showing up to this club, what would you encourage them with? What would you tell them?
Relax, be yourself, and enjoy the ride.
I would also, again, I'm very new compared to these people into the leather community, so I do know very recently what it is to come out and explore and try to figure out if this is where you belong. Like I said, I met a lot of them in a bar at a munch, and that was one way of getting to know people. The best way, though, was when I went to my first meeting. Because at my first meeting, I saw how they run business. I saw what their idea of helping the community really was. Rather than hearing them talk about it at a bar, I saw it in action. I saw them voting on ideas, and I saw them throwing ideas out there and talking about how the money's going to work and how this is going to work. It was very more business side of it, so I really got to see if those values were my values. If it was something that we could do together. If there was a way that I personally could attribute to what their end goal was. If I was a value to them, like they are a value to me in the community. And so that was what really helped. And then it also helped because a lot of clubs, including ours, you have to have a sponsor, someone who's willing to stand by your side through the journey of becoming a member of our club. And so it allowed me to get know people who were able to sponsor, talking to them, getting them to know me. So when I decided I wanted to join, I could go up to them and say, hey, I'm really interested. I've been coming around for X amount of months. This is now somewhere I know I'm meant to be. Do you mind helping me by sponsoring me to become a member of X club? That's what coming to a meeting can do. It can really show you if it's somewhere you belong. Because we could be friends at a bar every day and be leather together. But do our values mesh?
One leather club in one city is not necessarily going to be the catch-all for anyone that's into leather.
Okay.
I advise going and checking out as many clubs as possible and finding where you think you fit in.
And there are 3 of them here in town.
And they do all have Facebook friends pages. So
yes.
You can go to Friends of L.A.I.D, go to the Friends of the Las Vegas Boys of Leather, and go to the Friends of Luck. Be friends with all of them, communicate, go to their different online events that a lot of them are having, and just see where you feel like your home is. And you can be like a lot of us where you're part of all of them. Part of one of them, part of 2 of them. You don't have to stick with one. All are homes.
Yeah. I'm very comfortable in all 3.
That's incredible. So just to recap, if I don't know if I'm into leather or not, I could be reaching out to the various clubs in my community, find them on Facebook or something like that, show up at a munch or a meeting, and then get to know people, speak up. It's okay to speak up at these clubs. And then eventually, if I decide this club is the right one for me, I would be looking for a sponsor to join the club.
There's also classes available, which will be facilitating more of that down the road. And of course, people on YouTube that are very excellent on bringing it out to the people. So that alone helps a lot.
So as a member, I would be part of a family. I would also be contributing to charity and things like that with the group. And it also sounds like there would be classes available. So I would also be learning from the people in the club.
Yes, it gives you a chance to understand more about what you may be into so you can actually understand where you are in there.
And how to do it safely.
And what your leather journey looks like, because everybody's leather journey is different.
Mm-hmm.
What is yours? And that's what we can also help you in figuring out and finding.
And that's actually a good segue. One of the initiatives that me and Shadow are actually working on right now is a Leather 101 class that's going to be offered to our members first. And then, how it's received, we'll bring it out to the public and actually have that class available for anybody. Exactly. When Shadow and I were talking about doing this class, it was very much Shadow's been in leather for 23 years.
Just in Vegas.
Just in Vegas.
Wow. I started in 1984.
I've been in the community for 6 years. Really consciously started my leather journey 2 years ago. Okay. Things have changed. Leather 101 is different now than it was then.
Oh God, yes.
Okay. So having the 20 some odd years of experience in leather and having the experience of how it's changed, being able to highlight how it's changed, where it's going, having Leather 101 from me and having Leather 101 from him in the same class, it's going to give a much broader sense of what leather really is and where it came from. Because leather's different for everybody. There's an overarching theme. There's the core values. But how those core values speak to an individual person, it's going to be different. For me, service is the core value that speaks to me the highest, speaks to me the most. It's why I dedicate so much of my free time doing the website for the club, designing the patch, trying to keep things moving, sometimes a little more exuberantly than I should. But but that service makes me feel good about myself, and it makes me feel like I'm walking my leather path the way I'm supposed to.
And my core value is pleasure. Mm-hmm. Giving it, receiving it, making sure other people have it.
Do you two have a core value that you feel like you've tuned into?
All of it. For me, it's honesty. I moved here, I'm a mechanic, and I've been watching just the lack of honesty, and it's almost painful. So for me, it's honesty, and when I catch myself not being so honest in my daily life situation, mostly to myself, it's frustrating. It's annoying. So for me, that's something I choose to try and focus on as much as possible.
For me, it's been a lot of the 4 agreements. If you've ever heard of the 4 agreements, being impeccable with your word, that is my leather journey, and that is my core value, is just trying to remember the 4 agreements and live by the 4 agreements.
That's awesome.
Because a lot of those 4 agreements go along with leather completely.
Oh, that's really cool to know. So I just want to answer a little bit about the sponsor. What does that even mean? Why would I need a sponsor?
A sponsor is somebody who's been a member of the club for at least a year, or was one of the original members of the club, or a founder. When somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to be a member, well, there's a pledge process. And this pledge process has certain criteria that you have to hit within 6 months. Okay, so the pledge process is 6 months, but we're not going to say, okay, you're a pledge, go for it. We're going to give you a guide. Your sponsor is your spirit guide through your pledge process.
Or your probation officer.
Or your probation officer. Right? I was trying to keep it more upbeat, but okay. So your sponsor has to have time in the club. Has to be in good standing in the club. That way, the rest of the membership knows that the guidance that the new pledge is getting is on point and accurate. And that way, the pledge has a single point of contact. Hey, I have this question. Go to your sponsor. Hey, this part of the bylaws doesn't make sense. Go to your sponsor. Hey, this part of the code of conduct doesn't make sense. Go to your sponsor. I have this question about leather and where my leather journey is taking me. Go to your sponsor. And then if your sponsor needs any help, they have the rest of the club to reach out to. So that way we make it easy. And the new pledge has a single point of contact and a guide.
Yes.
Or a probation officer.
And that's not saying that we all wouldn't be there to help you and answer questions as we can, but if we're busy or if we can't get back to you right away, you do have someone that is there for you a lot quicker than...
So it sounds like it serves 2 purposes. As a new pledge, it's helping me understand the club and giving me a single point of contact. And from the club's point of view, it's making sure that everybody who who eventually gets into the club has all the core values set.
Yes.
And
And
that
it
way,
also gives you somebody who's agreed to dedicate time to help you, not just some random.
Yeah.
It's not just some random. Oh, here's here's some numbers to reach out to. It's somebody who's actually saying, "I will take that time to help you. I will be there for you. I'm not just gonna bring you in and walk away."
So the new pledge is starting to make a commitment to the club, but the club has already made a commitment back. We're going to make sure you have this person to make sure you're okay.
and that's why it's important to join any event that we have, come to a meeting, be on our Friends of L.A.I.D page, be on our Friends of L.A.I.D group chat in Discord, because that way you can get to know people. So when it's time for you to find a sponsor, if that's what you choose to do, you know who you want. You've talked
have
to
that option,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, you're not just picking a
Volunteer.
complete stranger going to a meeting saying, "Hey, I want to join. Will someone sponsor me?"
Right.
You want a sponsor that you connect with, someone who you might have found is kind of on your leather journey or has your values or has your type
Just
of person
attracted
now.
to.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But you don't want to just walk into a club and be like, "I need a sponsor. Who wants to sponsor me?" And you're put with somebody that you don't know and that you're not comfortable talking to, because they're going to help you and they're going to guide you. And if you can't open to them or explain to them what you're looking for in a club, then it's not going to
Right.
work.
And just because the overall values and guidance is there doesn't mean everyone's going to get along. So being able to find a sponsor you can spend time with, get along with, and communicate with without needing a translator. And I'm not talking about literal language barriers. I mean, just understanding.
Comprehension.
It makes a huge difference when you're not stressed about your leather journey. You're able to actually take those steps and focus on where you're going rather than where your foot placement is, so to speak.
Another thing with our sponsors is the club actually supports the sponsors when somebody decides to volunteer as a sponsor too. We have a whole checklist for the sponsor. So the sponsor has a guide on, okay, I need to make sure my pledge is doing this. I need to make sure my pledge is doing this. Anybody who is going to sponsor somebody understands that there is a commitment that you're going to be meeting with your pledge. They have to meet with their pledge every 2 months. And there's different things that they have to go over with their pledge, even if it's not an in-person or like Zoom meeting, on a regular basis. Things like making sure you understand the bylaws, making sure you understand the code of conduct, and just a constant check-in. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? So we have resources for sponsors too, to make sure while each sponsor and pledge relationship is going to be unique, there's still a structure there to make sure that every pledge is getting the same level of support and getting the same opportunity to do well within our club.
The members everyone's on a path, and your sponsor is going to help clear that path, and we're going to help give them those tools to clear that path.
And that goes to the A of L.A.I.D, accountability. It's accountability on both parts. It's accountability on the sponsor to make sure that the pledge is doing what the pledge has to do to become a member, and it's on the member side to show us that you can hold the accountability to do what you need to do to become a member. We're not saying that these are hard things. Please don't get scared away or feel like this is a dreadful process that's going to take you every day after work figuring out how to do it. It's not like that. I know it can come off and seem that way. It's not. But we just want to make sure that everybody is a right fit for each other. Again, there are many clubs in Vegas. This doesn't have to be the one that fits for you.
Yeah.
And that's what we really want to make sure is that we together fit.
I mean, just to say it in other words, there's many families in Vegas, and is this the right family for you?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we formed this club because there were a lot of leather folk that didn't feel they had a family. So we made a family. That's not saying that we're the best one. That's not saying that we're the only one. By far, that is not the case.
And like I said at the end of our bylaws, if we ain't the right fit for you, or how does the saying go?
If you...
Shadow says it best.
If you don't like what you've read, if you don't like how we do it, start your own club. We did.
Nice. So you guys have mentioned the mission statement a couple times. I'm wondering if you could share your mission statement for your club.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to go ahead and read it straight. L.A.I.D, leather accountability, integrity, determination, is a leather club open to any person with an interest in leather, no matter how novice or experienced. We are a panoptic group of kinksters whose main focus is to enjoy our time on this earth, do some good for those less fortunate, learn as much as we can about the depraved things we're into, and share our knowledge with anyone who has a similar interest. With that, I want to point out that interest in leather is not exclusive to leather.
What you mean by that is...
There's rubber.
Rubber, latex,
Yes. Oh.
no leather, no clothes,
Yeah.
sexual,
I like that one.
non-sexual,
Nylons, cotton,
doesn't matter.
Anything, any materials. It's just play. It's fun.
Okay.
You don't have to own chaps and boots and vests and jackets to be leather. Leather is heart. Leather is service. It's accountability. It's integrity. It's a lifestyle. We're not saying you have to show up in a full leather outfit to be part of us.
Show up naked, you're all leather then.
Oh, absolutely.
As long as you're living the leather lifestyle, that's what matters. It's not about the clothing that you wear or what's in your closet.
So actually, I don't know if I'm leather. Where do I start? Find out the core values.
Mm-hmm.
Read up, research, find the core values, which are also on our website. If you find that you agree with those, if you find that you already live by those values, you're probably leather and don't know it.
Mm.
That's what happened to me.
Okay.
6 years I've been in this community. And then finally, 2 years ago, I finally actually look at the core values because Luck, one of his other clubs that he founded, asked me to redo their website. And as I'm going through and I'm redoing the values, I'm like, huh, I've been leather my whole damn life.
That's pretty awesome.
So I decided to run with it, and it's the best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's awesome. I'm glad you cleared that part up.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of you have mentioned your leather journey, and everyone's leather journey is different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if you could just kind of shed a little light on that and maybe tell me what's on the path for your leather journey.
Your leather journey is basically where your path takes you. What you're doing throughout your life is your leather journey. My leather journey changed when I moved here. When I first got here, the only leather clubs were motorcycle clubs. You had to have a motorcycle to join. There was nothing for just a kinkster to do. I'm like, oh, okay, there's no leather. So I got together with 2 other gay couples, and we came up with a club, and we decided to send out just open invitation to anyone and everyone who was interested.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, we changed the leather community here by starting the Leather Uniform Club of Las Vegas. Through that, several other clubs have started and gone out. There was several ladies' clubs and things like that. Mine seems to be finding leather homes for people. I have already been here 22 or 23 years, and I've found 3 different leather clubs, which I completely adore all of them, because it's got people that are safe and they have families.
Mm.
So that is part of my leather journey. Don't understand how it happened, but like with L.A.I.D started because over a year I kept hearing from people that, hey Shadow, if you ever start a new leather club, let me know. Okay, I've been hearing that quite a lot now. So I got a hold of all of them. L.A.I.D was born. So like I said, that's part of my leather journey. Everyone's leather journey is going to be so different. Doesn't always have to mean being a major part of a leather club. You could just be a member and have a most fantastic life. And that's your leather journey.
It's personal evolution.
Yeah.
It's growth.
With a lot of leathermen, some of the founders of some of the high-tech leather clubs back in the beginning, I think there were 6 to 9, I'm not too sure how many of them, but they kind of turned a coin on leather and went drag queen and became the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. They were all retired leathermen who just wanted to keep doing that, but their leather journey switched. And now they were doing the Sisters. Mm-hmm. So everyone's leather journey leads them somewhere where they're meant to be. Sometimes people will be part of it, and sometimes they leave on their own leather journey, takes them on a different direction. the family we have will sometimes change, but we're also family that we've chosen to be with. Distance doesn't mean you're still not family.
It can be a very short journey too. You can come in, decide it's not for you, and leave. Your leather journey can be this big.
And that does say something as well about our club is not exclusive to residents of Las Vegas. We have members in Utah.
2 original members from Utah so far, yeah.
Yeah. We accept anybody who needs a leather home. That's why we opened it up to Zoom. That's why we have the Discord. That's why we have the Facebook. If you can't make it to a meeting in person, meet us online. We still welcome you. We love you, and we want you to have a home. We want you to have a family. We want you to feel somewhere where you can be yourself and be safe.
To kind of accentuate the point that Shadow was making of how everybody's leather journey is different, Shadow's leather journey seems to be making clubs, founding clubs and finding homes for leather folk. It seems like mine's pushing me towards bringing the leather community into the 21st century. I have fully designed 2 leather club websites. I'm on the team to redesign the other club's website here in town. The only thing that you need to do is follow your passion and live the core values, and your journey will take care of itself. It's not something that you have to constantly be thinking about, well, where's my leather journey going? What's my next step for my leather journey? Live the core values, follow your passion.
Yeah, there's traditions. When I first started coming into leather, when you first started on your leather journey, somebody who sponsors you or helped you out in the house, normally they were told you get a pair of boots. Because the first thing you need on the leather journey is some good walking shoes. With always leather community, good set of boots. We were talking earlier about the Leather 101. A lot of the stuff I did coming into the leather community, you don't do now. It's a lot safer. With my leather journey, it's been different than anyone else because I started so early. But it's how you choose to accept things, how you choose to work your life, as long as you keep your values. Mm-hmm. Don't let anything else. It's okay to get upset. It's okay to freak out. Everyone does it. We all have those days. But you go back and just stick back to your values.
So I've had people introduce themselves as a Leatherman or a Leatherwoman. And now, if I'm hearing you correctly, what I should be thinking is, this is someone who has core values, who's in alignment with their passion.
Yes.
Or at least they're presenting themselves that way, yeah.
Were you going to say something?
I was going to say, my leather path, when I first got into the leather community, I made the decision to make a permanent decision based off of a temporary emotion, which I never do. I fully try to always live the opposite way. And my first part of my leather journey was to take responsibility for that decision that I made, go out and apologize to people, whether it made me uncomfortable. My cheeks were red, I was shaking, I was crying. I was talking to everybody that I knew in the leather community and trying to figure out how I could fix my mistake without having to go face to face with the people that made me feel super uncomfortable. My first leather journey was learning to take responsibility for my actions. And knowing that whether somebody else pushed me to make that or not, whether somebody made me feel like I had to get to that point and just throw my hands up in the air and walk away, I still had to be accountable for myself and my part of whatever happened in the bigger picture. That was my first leather journey, but it actually helped because it made me find a new family. And then it also made me realize, from finding my new family, that there's not a lot of homes for women in the leather community. There's not a place that leather women can get together aside from all the other clubs, all the other community, and just help women empower women. And so that is actually my new leather journey, as I'm in the midst of founding LVLOL, which is going to be Las Vegas Ladies of Leather.
Awesome.
And it's going to be for anybody who identifies as a woman. So whether it be pansexual or transsexual, whatever, we accept anybody who identifies as a lady.
That's going to be incredible.
And that's going to be, and we're only going to do things that help empower women. So we're going to help women in shelters. We're going to help women find homes, get out of abusive relationships. anything that we can do to empower women.
That's an awesome leather journey. And I look forward to having you ladies on camera for another interview.
So hopefully later this year they'll be launching.
Awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. What about you? What's your leather journey?
I just jumped out of a genie bottle one day and poof, I was here. I started sneaking into classes at colleges and found somebody that, one day I just looked at somebody's boots and said, those are really shiny and nice. Started training me in a little bit more topping, more leading, more control, more. One day I'd realized, I was wearing my cap, I was wearing my leathers, and I looked in the mirror and I'd become the daddy that I thought was so damn hot.
That's awesome.
And there I was.
You became your own role model.
Pretty much.
That's incredible.
Try to.
And when I started, the phrase was learning leather from the knees up, because I had to serve a leather band to learn all the leather. So I met my first master, and he taught me all about leather and pleasing him. So that's learning leather from your knees up.
Wow.
Because I spent a lot of time on my knees.
I've got a little joke about some of that. We've got a Craigslist over here. We've got bi-monthly munches. And then these guys here, they've got 3, 4, 5 things a week they can sometimes choose from if they really want to. The upgrade and availability to that is fantastic that's there. And the fact that they're not having to go on Craigslist, go to some sketchy person's house, and that they have a safe place to do it.
He's
Plus 20 years later,
ad in the newspaper.
for his plus 20 years later, it's
I've never
fantastic.
even been on Craigslist.
He's not a Craigslist, guys. He put
I
himself
called
in the
up a
personal
phone
ads.
chat line. And
But
yelled
that's all
out-
there
and
was,
yelled out
I mean-
my number because I asked, "Are there any leather masters on here?" The one guy spoke up. I love the sound of his voice, so I yelled out my number.
Huh.
And I hung up. 20 minutes later, he called. We were together for 2.5 years.
That's awesome.
And then
Munches
you met
weren't
your
even a
current
thing,
husband.
Yeah.
No, there was not anything.
No
like
munches,
that.
no monthlies, no weeklies. It was caution. It was throw caution to the wind. It was just do it.
No, there was
wow.
no
There's-
caution.
there's
There was
a bit of a change
card
there.
And I left. That's why with the 101 class we were talking about, my whole 101 is a do not do this class.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's now not stuff we typically do. It's considered unsafe.
Yeah.
You
This
don't
is
meet
what I
somebody
did.
without
Don't
vetting
do it
them.
now.
Yeah.
We have so many ways of access to vet people nowadays that
Mhm.
it's just you don't have
Yeah.
to take those risks. They're
And I do want to say we've thrown out the word munches a lot for people who are watching this channel and don't know what a munch is. It is a public place where you can go to meet people that are like-minded and get to know.
And it's actually held by another group we haven't mentioned yet,
Yeah.
which is the Sin City.
DS.
Yes.
Yeah, Sin City DS.
Society.
And there's a lot of different munches. There's munches
Right.
if you just want to go to dinner. There's munches if you want to know kinky people. If there's munches if you want to know submissives. There's a munch if you want
almost
to know
every
masters.
group's got one.
Yes. But
So,
all it is
for just
we
the
meet
east
in a
side,
public.
just the west side.
Yeah.
It's a kinky lunch, but cunch just didn't sound so great.
But all it is it's a group of people meeting in a public forum where it's safe and you don't have to worry about Craigslist or personal ads in the newspaper or anything like that. You show up to a bar or a restaurant or whatever, you meet the people, and then from there you guys decide if you want to move forward or come back the next week and just get to know more people.
Personally, I found the munches are just great to meet people who are into the same things.
Yes.
Yeah.
To
Get
talk about what
advice.
you like with people who actually want to talk about
Yep.
it.
Yes.
So don't just turn red and walk away.
Some of my best friends, actually any of my best friends that I have that I've known within the 6 years that I've been doing this, I've met at Munch or some other community event.
Mhm.
I met her at a Munch.
No.
But you can watch the other video on that.
Thank you so much. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone watching has learned a lot. This has been incredibly enlightening. I love what you guys said about what a Leatherman is or what a Leatherwoman is. I love how much you demystified what it's like to actually go from a person on the street who knows nothing to how do I get involved in this club and what does the path look like. It's been incredible. And so I appreciate all of you for being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So I'm the Kinky Polyatheist. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to see more stuff like this in the future, drop some questions in the comments, and I'll see if I can get any of these guys to answer them for you. I'll catch you guys next time.